welcome one and all. So I always like to start out with a little factoid, and this time we're going to talk money. Charity Navigator, if you've heard about it, is an organization that rates nonprofit charities in the United States. And for at least the 14th year in a row, and maybe the 16th, I see different numbers, our Rotary Foundation, which is part of our Rotary International group, they're the charitable funding vehicle for much of the work that Rotary does internationally, performing around the globe. And so each quarter, $25 of your dues goes to our Rotary Club of Des Moines Foundation to fund the great projects and work that we do here, and another $25 goes to support the Rotary International Foundation. So I just want to be sure new members and longer-term members are reminded that you can give with confidence. You know that your philanthropic dollars are being very well spent, because again, for the at least 14th and maybe 16th year in a row, Rotary International has received a perfect 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. So I just want to be sure you all know that. Again, the foundation earned that ranking because they are performing in a financially efficient way, demonstrating really strong financial health and commitment to accountability and transparency. And so, of course, you know the Rotary mission statement is to support the efforts of Rotary International in the fulfillment of the objects of Rotary, Rotary's mission, and the achievement of world understanding and peace through local, national, and our international humanitarian, education, and cultural programs. So again, feel confident when you're giving to Rotary, because you know that 92% of those funds are spent on program awards and operations. And if you want any more information, check out the email newsletter that Kitty sent out on Monday. There's a link to tell you all about Charity Navigator. And now I just have to end with a Paul Harris quote for the week, looking about what he had to say around funds and money. And his quote is, "Giving is not just about money, but it's about giving your time, your talents, and love." Paul Harris is encapsulating the true essence of generosity and selflessness, which of course, as Rotarians, you are every single day. So thank you again for being a Rotary Club of Des Moines member and for being one of our guests and our speaker today. So we do not have someone to share inspiration with us, so I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and our 5-way test. Will you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the 4-way test, which is our 5-way test. Is it
the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And is it fun?
All right, please greet other Rotarians.
Good morning, Jordan. Mary Beth Dixon. Hi, good morning. I'm Mary Beth Dixon with Landis. Nice to meet you as well. Good morning, Mary Beth Dixon. Nice to meet you. Good morning.
Hi, Tim Owens. Nice to meet you.
Mary Beth Dixon.
Mary, nice to meet you. Glad to be here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. Enjoy it. Welcome. Thanks for having us.
Oh, is that right? Here, I didn't find out.
Her mom's been there a really long time, so I gotta remember what it is. Next time I see Karen, I'll have an update.
See you too. Let's try that way.
Okay, we've got a lot of meeting and greeting going on out there. And now we get to meet 2 of our visiting guests. Brett Oslett is with U.S. Bank's Business Banking Group and a guest of Travis McKernan. If you'd please stand and stay standing. And then I'd also like to introduce and ask Mary Van Dixon to stand up. She's the Chief of Staff at Landis Cooperative, here with our guest speaker. So let's greet Brett and Mary. Okay, it's tumbler times too. You know, those little cups are on your tables. Please consider donating $5 if you don't have a green sign on your name badge. And even if you do, we always graciously accept your cash. And you know that this helps us move and donate more to our Rotary Club of Des Moines Foundation so that we can continue to fund wonderful projects like we have year in and year out. So as always, thank you for your support of our foundation. And today is happy birthday for Mark Isles. He's not with us today, but should you run into him or reach out to him, please wish Mark a happy birthday. There's a table flyer today sponsored by Paul Schickler. Paul's up at the front table. He'll be introducing our guest speaker. And Paul was so gracious to be one of our February Fling hosts this year. And his sponsorship allowed him to have a table flyer at our meeting. So Paul's doing fascinating work across the globe. And I think you'll be very interested to see what he's doing. And he's a consultant that aligns his work with what the Rotary mission is. So we're always happy to have Paul here. And thank you again for your support of the Fling. Check out the flyer for more information. And now, Rich Leopold, would you come up and give us an announcement on what's happening in the community?
Well, I got a microphone and I have a joke again. And we stuck Randy way in the back so he don't steal my punchline this time. But as the Mr. Naturalist guy, I got to have a nature-related joke. So, you know, how many, whatever it is to change a light bulb, how many amoebas does it take to change a light bulb?
No.
Just one, no two, no four, no 8, no 16. That's just a moaner, isn't it? Up here to announce the Earth Day Trash Bash. So every year our club tries to do something around Earth Day. We've done it with the City of Des Moines Park and Rec. We've done it with Des Moines Waterworks this year. This Trash Bash is not really a trash bash. It's a little bit more than that. So what we're going to be doing is meeting at the 4 Mile Community Center on April 26th. It's a Saturday from 1 to 4. You don't have to stay the whole time, but it starts at 1. So we meet at the community center, and a lot of our work is going to take place in Strasser Woods, which is a forest preserve. We've got harvest seed available from spring wildflower species. We're going to be completing a planting of memorial trees, 750 trees. And then we'll also be doing some invasive species control and picking up litter. So it's a lot of different things that are involved in that event. So again, that's April 26th from 1 to 4. I'll be up here next week with another moaner joke and to announce this again. Kitty has sign-up sheets on the table. So there's a process, but Kitty is going to help with the start of that process. So put your name down, how many individuals, and then Kitty will help in initiating the process to get you signed up for that. So thanks for the time.
Yay. My Rotary gloves aren't worn out enough, so I need to go help. I'll be there. Okay. So thank you very much for that. And I want to say, Paul Schickler, would you please come up and introduce our guest speaker? Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. It's good to be here, and it's a pleasure to introduce Matt Karstens. I've known Matt for a long time. In fact, I was CEO at DuPont Pioneer. Matt was Senior Vice President at Truterra. He's not at Truterra. DuPont Pioneer is no longer in existence, so that is an indication of how long we go back, a long time. But before I get into the introduction, I'll put a little quiz out here and answer the quiz when I'm done introducing Matt. Think about what Des Moines Public Schools Central Campus has in common with advanced agricultural technology and the Kentucky Derby. And I'll answer that quiz when I get back, but those are 3 pretty random items. As I said, Matt, I first met Matt when he was at Truterra. Truterra is a subsidiary of Land O'Lakes, and he was Senior Vice President there up until 2020, when he joined Landis, where he is today. Matt is President and CEO at Landis, a $3 billion agricultural solutions company fueled by farmer-focused innovation and sustainability. His passion for and experience in agriculture spans every step in the supply chain, from agronomy, retail, and end-to-end use grain customers, food manufacturers, grocery stores, and consumers. Matt cares deeply about rural vitality and the future of rural life for farmers and farmer families. And you can really get a sense of where that began because Matt did grow up on a farm, a family farm, attended and graduated Iowa State University with a bachelor's degree in agricultural business. He and his wife, Shanda, live with 3 children in Grimes, Iowa. Very, very active in the community, as I indicated, on the board and involved with organizations like the Greater Des Moines Partnership, Principal Charity Classic, and Pheasants Forever. So now, going back to my quiz about Des Moines Public Schools Central Campus, the Kentucky Derby, and Advanced Agricultural Technology, what do those 3 have in common? Well, about a year ago, I attended a Kentucky Derby party at Landis that was certainly oriented around having fun and celebrating the pageantry of the Kentucky Derby, but most importantly, we had representatives both from administration and students from Des Moines Public Schools, the Central Campus, as they were learning and appreciating opportunities for careers in agricultural technology, of which Landis is focused directly upon. So it's a great indication of Matt's commitment not only to rural America, but to ensure that vitality is ensured now and on into the future, and to engage youth in that opportunity as well. So it's a great pleasure to welcome Matt to hear a little bit about his business and his career, and as a something to think about. His building, you can walk to it from here. It's a great location. It's a great facility, great views, and also has great demonstration of agricultural technology. And if you're nice to him, he might even let you enjoy the rooftop patio bar for a social event. Matt?
You know, I gotta say, it's funny how life goes. Growing up, DuPont Pioneer was a huge part of our farming operation. If you went to Iowa State, that's the job you wanted. Paul never hired me, but there's no doubt I looked up to him, and having him introduce me is like a full circle moment in life, and I'll forever remember this day. And you and Claudia have been great mentors to Shanda and I, and our charitable giving. No surprise what you put on the tables there, and thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to do this. I did this one with another Rotary group. I think that's how I got this opportunity. So I must not have screwed that one up too bad. So we'll see how I do here today, all right? It's a 50-50 deal. But Paul said it, our whole company is really passionate. In fact, we talk about our culture in the way of emotion and passion for our farmers, our employees, and our rural communities. And right there, from here, you're going to be bored, because I'm going to talk about that time and time again. That's just what we do at Landis. And yesterday, we had a bunch of media in, from Wall Street Journal to some of the local players. I was on the Big Show, if you listen to that. Bob wasn't overly kind to me that he threw a couple questions that were not scripted, but I expect that with him. He's great. I actually love Bob. Today we got Bloomberg in town, so Mary's had a full plate of activities, and keeping me in line of what to say is a long day. I promise you that. So she deserves that award. But I love talking about agriculture and what we're doing as a cooperative that's owned by our farmers. But I also want to start this, and you see this logo. I do hope you all take the time to come to our Innovation Connector, which is, as Paul said, maybe 5-6 blocks from here. We just renovated it. It's absolutely beautiful and truly demonstrates the work that our employees and our partners do in driving the future of agriculture. This theme came from an event. We had 850 employees in town and their guests, a total of 850, which it was the night of the Tim McGraw concert. So what you never want to do is bring a bunch of rural people to downtown Des Moines during a concert. They are afraid of one-ways. They'll just drive with their big trucks on, and they don't care if they're going the wrong way. So if any of them interfered with you all, my apologies. That is kind of the way they live. But we had a wonderful time. And what's really amazing to me, and something that might mean a little bit to all of you, is it amazes me every time we bring our farmers. So the last night, tonight, we had, last night, about 200 of our farmers in. Tonight, we got about 220 of our farmers in. When our employees came here, everybody likes to talk about Des Moines as this weird, possibly evil place in rural. Then they come here, and we got a bunch coming back tonight. I'm like, I thought you hated Des Moines. Wow, it's a lot of fun here. Yeah, it is. So why don't you come back more often? So we love being able to bring rural to urban and kind of show our rural communities that, you know, you can like Des Moines, you can have whatever view of Des Moines you want, but at the end of the day, as Des Moines goes, so does Iowa. And we can all either pull together or we can find divides that divide us. And I think we've had a lot of success in bridging that gap and making that possible. I wanted to start with these statistics. It comes out every 5 years. So it's 2017 through 2022. Like you would expect the USDA, we're always about a year behind. So here we are, a year behind, and they just came out. None of these statistics are great, to be real candid with you. If you have the passion and love for agriculture, rural, you're not going to like any of these slides. So to the way left, it talks about the number of farmers across the U.S. is down 30,000. The average age of our farmers has went up about 0.6 years of age over that 5-year span. We lost 140,000 farms, or 7% of our farms, which totals about 20 million acres of farmland that is now in something else. Now, on one side, we can get depressed with this, right? I will let you know this is not unusual for this report. I'm not sure since I've been following this it's ever said anything different than this. But it also shows the progress that's happening in our country. And agriculture must deal with that. We must find unique ways to push the envelopes of what's possible, why it's possible, and how we help the farmers of today and tomorrow meet that change that is there. Because this, on one hand, in this room you would all say, is probably progress. Now from our side, when you lose 20 million acres, that feels horrible, right? But somewhere in here meets this middle, this movable middle, that we're moving a needle here in a direction that ultimately is not going to stop, hasn't stopped, and shouldn't stop. I also throw these headlines up there, Paul, like the upper right one, which is Bayer. You know, these are announcements that have been out. Some didn't happen, like Growmark and CHS. I found that one interesting. About 2 months ago, they announced they were going to do a feasibility study of merging those together. That's a $50 billion company merging with a $15 billion company. I don't know how the farmer was going to win in that deal, but whatever. It's their deal, not mine. Farmland is a big issue right now. We look at the price of Iowa farmland. In case you're curious, I would say top farmland in Iowa versus top farmland in Illinois, like McLean County, Illinois, if you know that state at all. I'd say in Iowa we're at least 5,000 an acre higher. And what you're seeing is it's untraditional buyers. There's some religious buyers, there's some countries that are buying up the land. There's some big investment groups buying land that is here in Iowa. Right, wrong, or indifferent, we can talk about that, not the point today, but that's what's on our farmers' mind, right? How do they move their farmland to the next generation? How do they stay relevant as you see some of our top farmers farm 40, 45, 60,000 acres? Our 60,000 acre farmer and his family's coming into town tonight. 60,000 acres. When I met him 18 months ago, he farmed 40, 42,000. Think about that kind of growth. Luckily for us, he is a family operation. His sons are all back in the operation, except the one that's finishing up schooling. His wife is very active in the operation. So, you know, that one is a win. But you also see a lot of other dynamics here that are playing with different landship ownerships that are occurring. I'll talk also about this lower right one. In Indiana, which is a state we operate in now, we have some staff on the ground there. The two largest co-ops, both making 40 to 50 million each, and they were both about half our size, merged together to form one. Now, what I always find interesting about these is, again, that's progress. It's what it is. It is what it is. But we also see the downside of these mergers and acquisitions that are happening in agriculture. It takes that magnitude. They're going to spend at least 3 years and maybe 5 years trying to figure out how to put this together, who has what job, how to actually cut some expense. The P&L is going to struggle a little bit. Then they're going to have to terminate some people. We do this all the time. And what I'm really pleased of our company since I've come here and since we put Landis together, we've not done one merger because we've seen the pain that this causes our farmers. I would tell you in Indiana, it's the reason we went to that state. We had nobody in the state 2 to 3 months ago. Today, we've got a couple people. We're looking at leasing a warehouse, and we can't find a farmer yet that voted for this, allegedly. Now, when we put Landis together, the same thing happened. So we talk a little bit out of both sides, but I say all this to tell you that I think we've learned our lesson. and that we've got to focus on doing what's right for the farmer. And if you come see us and see our Innovation Connector, you'll see that commitment to it. It's really a simple business we're in, especially for a co-op. They own us as farmers, and they are who we sell. So if we do what's right for them, we're going to win every time. A little more complicated for a Corteva that's got Wall Street, farmers to help drive what they do in Wall Street. There's some complexity there. For us, it's really simple. Win with our farmers, win in their rural communities, and the rest takes care of itself. We talk a lot about innovation, and I love these pictures. These are a couple snapshots of our Innovation Connector that is a few blocks away. What you're seeing here is what we call synthesis, or synthesis was developed by a group in Kansas City that goes by the name of Tesseract. So you've watched some sci-fi movies over time, you know what a Tesseract is. This does that exact same thing for agriculture. It takes past data, puts sensors in the field, and allows farmers to take the past data with current real world situations without leaving the comfort of their home or office space, and are able to run a digital twin scenario to that farm based on weather, what the sensors are picking up from fertility, from where the crop maturity is at, rainfall, heat units, all the things that go in, and farmers now for the first time have the ability that they can change those variables and make business decisions from their house. And we couldn't be prouder of this. We now have got the farmer in the center of their data, what they do with that data, and how they can drive the success. Today, or before this, really, all the major corporations, a John Deere, a Corteva, even a Landis, had a lot to do with their data. The farmer had no control because we didn't do our job. Now, the farmer gets to do their job, what they want to do, how they want to do it, and the way they want to do it. And I see my friend Ted, which a lot of you would wonder why I would say Ted and agriculture and Des Moines Waterworks are friends, but I do have a lot of passion for what he does and how we coexist there. And Ted and I, you got to see this last week with our farming group that came in and got to experience this, and we're truly helping the farmer change. Said no farmer ever, I want to pollute the water by losing the money that I paid for my nitrogen. Right? Like, no farmer wants what's happening here. Now, how we stop it, how we change that course, we've got a ton of things that we've got to do to educate and lead that farmer to the future that really is so bright, and synthesis is the path that we have to do that for the first time. I love the story, especially when Mary's in the room and she hates it. Two things here on health. One, farmer health insurance. For my family and I, we pay about $10,000 a year for insurance. That's what we pay in the monthly fee, and then what we pay on our deductible. We're on a high deductible plan. So our employees, by and large, in Landis, on family plans, paying anywhere from $6,500 to $10,000. Our farmers that feed and fuel this world are paying anywhere from $30,000 to $60,000 a year. If you have health insurance in the United States, 95% of those people are in a group plan like Landis, maybe some of you. 5% are mostly in rural, mostly farmers. And yet we want to sit and figure out how to get a farm bill done. We want to sit and argue on this, that, and the other thing. And yet our farmers, not only do they have to pay a load for this, but go to Bagley, Iowa, where I'm from, if you can even find it on a map, and get health insurance, get health care. Get water that's clean, by the way. For them, even get water and get water that's clean. So there are so many issues that our farmers are facing. And we right now are spending a ton of time on this health insurance, starting to create a MIWA, which is going to be a horrible fight in this state, because you've got other folks, maybe some of you are part of those organizations that probably don't want to see that. And I get it. But I stand in front of every one of you and tell you our farmers deserve better. They are the backbone of this state. And we have got to give them the help they need. We're not going to fix getting health care in Bagley, Iowa. But we at least can make sure when they get to that health care spot that they have some of the best like we get, and that they can be taken care of on a reasonable payment schedule. The other piece we did is this part that Mary really despises. We used to joke, I used to say that Landis or agriculture, but at Landis we have every position any company has. We've got marketing, sales, finance, accountants, you name it, we got it. Except we didn't have a medical doctor. So if you went to the University of Iowa to cheer on Caitlin Clark and get a medical degree, you probably weren't going to get to work at Landis. Until 3 weeks ago when Mary hired a medical doctor. Now you might be going, what are we doing at a farm company with a medical doctor? Here's my theory. The theory was you can't train employees that are coming in, particularly from rural, that has some physical, mental, or emotional challenge, and go, put all that aside. Let's teach you how to be a better CEO. Right? And they go, okay, I'm going to check this box because I have to. I'm going to watch my clock, and I'm going to get the heck out of here. And took almost, probably, literally nothing from the training. So why don't we reverse it? Why don't we do something like you get as an experience at an executive physical? Some of you have been a part of that, whether it's here in town or our hospitals. Mayo does a lot of that. What if we have an intake where there's a personal discussion with a trained professional, and then set them on a course that day to help deal with whatever their situation is. My spouse and I aren't getting along, or I have this aching pain that I can't get control of, or I'm addicted to opioids. I can't get health care and I've got this nagging whatever. So we tested this with our farmers. In the winter, in Jan, Feb, and early March, we do about 50 to 60 private meetings with individual farmers, and we test some of these theories. I thought this one would absolutely fail miserably. But we were hearing enough concerns, we've read the headlines, what else could we do to help, not just our employees, but our farmers? So we tested this, and it was overwhelming. This doctor that Mary hired, Dr. Dara Harris, was actually with the Toronto Blue Jays towards the end of her contract. Toronto Blue Jays has their training camp that they do in that same time down in Florida, in Tampa. Was coming to one of our fireside chats that we do outside of the house my wife and I have there, and literally put everybody in tears every meeting. Like if you weren't in tears, you weren't a human. Like that is the level she had. And then the rest of the meeting became about her, which ruined the rest of our discussion because we didn't need to pay for this stuff. But it was very clear to me, not only our employees needed this, but our farmers needed this. So we brought her on April 1st, which was no April Fool's joke. She's been here, but actually got to speak at our employee event that we had, I've already mentioned. And the employees have rallied around her. Mary and I were coming over here, we were talking about how we're going to keep her sane, how we're going to help her get some staff. So she's going to have to give herself some consultation as we go through this. But honestly, giving our rural people and even our employees and farmers that are in more metropolitan areas like here in Des Moines a resource has been mind-blowing. The people that she's having conversations with, I don't know what they talk about, I don't care what they talk about. People I would have said would never talk to Dara are absolutely engaged with her. And so I shared this with you because it's surprising what we can find. And what's really special about her is her passion for what we do and how we do it. She's living in Tampa, used to live in St. Louis, really has minimal connection. As she tells the joke, if you were when she was in high school, no guidance counselor said you're going to be a medical doctor, then you're going to work for a professional baseball team, then you're going to work for farmers. Like, how do you get through that path? But she sees what we're doing. She was a guest that we brought in a year ago to talk to some of our top employees, and we just met in a casual setting and had her come in and speak, and it was so eye-opening what we could do and how we could be better. So a couple things that we're working here that a normal call-out wouldn't do. I share this one with you. It's complicated, but I'll make it really simple. Ted loves this one because green ammonia is basically a product that actually, let me back up a little bit. In corn production, the issue we have is nitrogen. So corn is not a bad crop, but to raise corn, you got to put on a lot of nitrogen. Nitrogen production is not very good for the environment. So you hear about all these things that are going on in corn, and it's really a nitrogen discussion. It's what causes nitrates in the water that Ted gets to extract and sends me nice love notes like, you didn't do it again, we still got problems. Love, Ted. So, not the love, but there's other words he puts in there sometimes. So, we have the exclusive distribution for this product, this technology, where we have little facilities that produce up to 20 tons a day, or about 6,000 tons of ammonia a year, that we take air, solar, and water. It's all we use to make to make ammonia, which is one of the 3 forms of nitrogen that our farmers in Iowa. Ammonia would be the highest used product that they apply to their fields. The good news of that is ammonia naturally stays more stable in the soil, but when you're putting it on the fall and not using it till still another few weeks from now and beyond, there's some complexity to that. This helps take some of the steps out of it. So the first plant, which is a 1 ton a day, which is just a demonstration plant, will be in Boone, Iowa, at our facility. That's a picture of our facility there. Right on that picture, over to the top right, you see the Farm Progress Show. So this year, our farmers are going to be able to come over and not only see our Talus machine, they're going to see some new grain facilities that we built in combination with Suka. They're also going to see our new production facility where we're producing some of our own products, from fertilizers to products that help protect the corn and soybean plants as they grow. That production is on that side as well. So we're really proud about being able to find companies like Talus that developed this actually for sub-Saharan Africa, where they were giving farmers access to fertilizer finally at an economical rate. Now is available due to some of the government funding and things that we were able to take advantage of in the Inflation Act to our farmers here in the United States. Data and drones, there's probably not a lot of surprises here. I really believe when some of our farmers, at least upon my retirement, our farmers will be making more money on the data than the crops that they sell to produce that data. And it's just a change in the consumer. Think about all this hubbub around sustainable jet fuel, ethanol, renewable and biodiesel. And as much as there is actions to do that, it's as much about the data. My kids, as Paul already mentioned, are 20 to 24. They don't know what a nutritional label is. They could care less. But if you'll tell them the story of how that milk was produced, what the impact to that pork chop to the environment was, they're all in. Next time you're in a grocery store, if this doesn't fit you, watch what you hear in the aisle. Listen to that mother and daughter have a conversation. Listen to that mother and son and what they're talking about. Just don't nose in, okay? Let's do it in a classy way. And I know you all would naturally, Becky. But just keep your ears open and hear what's happening, even in Des Moines, Iowa. The questions consumers are asking, the things they care about. And the good news is in agriculture, we're blessed to be able to serve the food industry, the energy industry, the fiber industry. But it also creates a unique challenge that our farmers never have to care about. I raise my crop, I bring it to the co-op, we're done. Today, it's a much bigger story. What did you do? How did you do it? Who wants to pay more for that crop? How do we monetize that value and bring that back? We just signed a deal with Freon Industries, which is the 3rd largest feed yard in the world. They also have a very large ethanol plant. This is down in Texas, West Texas. They take about 50 unit trains from us a year of corn. Each unit train's got 425,000 bushels of corn on it. I went to Iowa State, so my translation is that's a shitload of corn. That's all I know. And then you got to take that number times 50. Good luck. But what's interesting is not only are we sending them that, now on a separate whole transaction, we're selling them the sustainability, the improvements our farmers made. And our farmers get paid $20 an acre today. And next year, we think that'll go to about $50 an acre. So just to relate that to you, that is huge revenue for our farmers for doing nothing more than continuing to improve their practices, which they want to do. So you're going to see those different ribeyes and ground beef in the counter talking about not only what they did to the fuel that they produced out of their ethanol plant, but also feeding the DDGs, distillers grain, to the beef that they produce down there and ending up in a grocery store near you. And our farmers are extremely proud of being able to tell that story, but also getting the reward they deserve from that effort. So I think I'm about on time. So this is where you get to drill me. And have you ever had Dan Houston here?
Yeah.
He's horrible speaker, isn't it?
No.
Horrible. You can be honest. I already told him he's horrible. So I followed him to the other Rotary group. He was the week before. And they're like, well, as long as you don't do any worse than Dan, this will be a good meeting. So there you go. But I do want to extend, Mary and I would love to extend an invitation to you. This is a bird's eye view of some of our Innovation Connector. We would love to see you all come have a meeting there. We can bring in food, your company, any associations you're tied to. Paul, you've brought several folks through here. Paul hasn't seen it yet. It used to be good. I would tell you the team today has made it something short of phenomenal. In fact, you might question the judgment of our company on this, and I would understand that. We actually have a speakeasy in our office. Because when you bring farmers to Des Moines, you don't want to run around downtown. So they get to have drinks there and sit and watch games and whatever they want to do in there. So last night I got done speaking, 10 minutes later went up, dropped some things off in my office, went into the speakeasy. It's empty. Literally empty. No bartender, no farmer. I'm like, what did I say? And Paul knows I can say some things that get some people a little itchy, okay? So I go, tell me they're not all in the connectors. No way. I walk into the connector. There they all stand, talking to some of the innovation. Also, there's a bar in the innovation connector, which tells you we probably have a problem. They've got drinks in their hand, and they stayed all night. I think they shut down. I left at 11. I think they shut down at 2 o'clock. Standing in there, talking to these folks, understanding the future of agriculture. These are your farmers. These are what they're doing for our state and the states around us. We had farmers from Illinois and Missouri in last night as well. So I'm super proud of what we've done, and I promise you this, when you get farmers to stand around do anything till that hour of the night, it is probably worth coming to see, and we'd love to host you there. We've got meeting facilities. Our auditorium holds up to 200, 220. So plenty of opportunities. We've got a boardroom. We've got other rooms that you can have meetings in and that. So we'd love to host you there sometime as well. So this is where you get to beat me up, and we'll see how good I am relative to Houston, and we'll take it from there. So Dan is a personal friend, so I'm okay teasing him. He wouldn't expect anything less. So, okay, go ahead. I'll start with you on the left, then we'll go to the right. My left.
How do you see the loss of 20 million acres of farmland? How do you see, is it offset somewhat or all by increased yields?
Yeah, so the supply and demand of this is you've got to take acre loss with yield increase, but also population growth, right? So what we normally see is you get a pretty even balance over a 5-10 year window of yield increase to population growth globally. Now we're also seeing that population growth slow in some countries like China. So I think the next report on that will say that our yields are outpacing growth, which is probably a good thing, because the acre piece, I would tell you, that's one of the highest numbers over those multiple 5-year windows. I would say, Paul, you've seen these a lot longer than I have, but 20 million is a big number. So it's not anything I'm concerned about. I mean, when they get to Bagley with Metropolitan, I'll call you and tell you I'm concerned. Until then, a lot of farm ground between here and a place like Bagley, Baird, or wherever you want to go in the state. But you're seeing more of that erosion out of other states like a California, where one, they don't really want ag there, to be fair. And I'll say that negative to that state, that's just their preference. You see a ton of dairies leaving that state, going to other states like Kansas that are attracting them. Even Arizona is taking on some of those. So we're seeing a shift. But the good news is we're seeing a shift in the areas where it's right, like a California versus an Iowa. So I don't think there'll be a concern in my time or my kids' time, but I think longer term, I start to worry as you look at 20 million times, how many 5-year periods does this start to have some tweaks. But I think the corn plant, we used to say, Paul, I think it's still right, has the potential for 500 bushels. Our state average is still under 200. So there's a lot of room for improvement. Things like Tesseract should clean that up and help us extract that. So for the really unforgiven or unforeseen time, I think we're going to see that balance is about right. One other piece of complexity to this that we've got to do, you see corn prices very low right now. We've got to stop raising corn where we shouldn't be. We raised corn in those geographies, like anywhere where the Ogallala Aquifer is. That's the largest aquifer. Runs from Colorado into Nebraska, Kansas, down into West Texas. I think Oklahoma's got a small sliver of it. That aquifer is about dry. And the culprit is corn production that they're putting tons, gallons and gallons and gallons of water on to raise corn, where here we don't need that. So we have to start having some uncomfortable discussions. At this point, you might be able to tell we don't have any farmers in that geography, so I'm pretty passionate about it. If that ever changes, my tone will probably change a little bit. But I do think there's other crops they can raise there, like wheat, milo, sorghum, other markets we can create for those crops that could be also in the space of ethanol, renewable or biodiesel, and so on. So our best days still lie ahead in agriculture, but it's what really, you heard my sarcastic comment already on the Farm Bill, that's the chance we get every 5 years to get it right. And when you're arguing over can you even pass it, we're not gonna get the right Farm Bill this cycle. The good news is every now and again they do get plenty of time and the right Farm Bill. This one will not be one of those cycles. I think we were having really good discussions, and then the wars, then the government shutdown, threats, and now we sit on a standoff there. So you asked a simple question. I'm giving you a ton of dynamics here, but this piece of agriculture, and when I say these things, hopefully when you hear some of it next time on the local TV or news program you listen to, there's a ton of yin to the yang of this that affects everyone sitting in this room that I don't think we've done a good job of telling the story about. Does that help a little bit?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, Steve.
My question is similar to Bob's, but you talked about the farmland we are losing. Is there a way to turn non-farmland into farmland now?
When you say non-farmland, is there an example you're thinking of?
Well, land that's not being farmed, that's just laying there fallow. Is technology coming along that will turn that into productive land?
Yeah, so land that you see fallow in most cases, almost every case, is doing that for intentional reasons. So there's a program called CRP where the farmer puts that land because it does erode into the streams. It's just so what they call it's HEL land, H-E-L, highly erodible land that needs to go into those practices of fallow. It's partly what caused some of this issue. We started taking acres away from CRP years ago to try to, when the ethanol boom was coming, there's other dynamics that have played out in the marketplace that balances that. So I think we'd be going the wrong way, although I would love that from my seat. But for what we need to do for society, those acres are in most cases acres we don't want in production because of their suitability to raise crops or their erodibility, just their effects on life and our planet as we know it. What is an interesting space, and this is very small, but there is progress being made on things we do on rooftops and community gardens and things that, from the scheme of feeding the world, it's a small sliver. But there are a ton of rooftops as we look out here, the things that we can do different to take some pressure off of particularly those states that are losing the ground that raise the vegetables, fruits, nuts, and things that are out there. So I see that it's gonna take a balance of this, but I would say one place that I hope that we don't take land out of is our fallow or set aside acres, because in most cases, not all, again, those acres shouldn't be farmed. But Steve, that's my perspective on life. Everybody's got a different view of that. But I would say this though, in an emergency situations, and this has happened, we will tap into those acres. The government has to release them, because right now the farmer's in a contract with them. I think it's a 10 or 12-year contract that they can't touch it. In most cases, those get renewed automatically because the farmer gets paid by us to not use those. But when in emergency situations, we can tap into those and do what we need to do in tough situations. Yes, and I'll go back there.
So if I heard right, land is organized under the 1920s Act on cooperatives.
Correct.
Do you pay no taxes?
I wish we paid no taxes. We definitely have a friendly tax law to cooperatives. The friendliness of it is really in what's called a 199A. Okay, what 199A says is if we lose money, and there's a point where we don't have to physically lose money, but there's a break point where if we are not paying taxes at that point, we can actually share that benefit with the farmers. So we do pay taxes. I pay way more than I'd like to pay, but the benefit comes when you're closer to break even or below. So when we formed Landis was losing money. we could only take so much of that loss, and we can then share the rest of that loss from a tax standpoint with our farmers. So all it really is a tax break for our farmers, is what that is. There are some other tax benefits where we can do things that we get to share that tax benefit with the farmers, but I assure you, farmers or agriculture is paying, particularly cooperatives, a fair share amount of taxes. But relative to a Corteva, just as an example, in town, we definitely pay less taxes than they do. There's no doubt about it. But it's a part of that system that was put in the 1920s. 199A you're going to hear a lot about coming forward, and that is that law that allows us to share the tax benefit that we couldn't take advantage of with our farmers, but it's only in the case where the cooperative is struggling and not performing well from a financial standpoint. Does that help on that point? There's a ton of other complexity to this, by the way, and I am not a tax expert, but I can't remember last year's number. We paid millions in taxes, but we also are making $37 million last year, so we're paying a chunk of taxes like every corporation does. Does that help?
Not every corporation.
Well, and not every individual, by the way. I'm trying to play it straight up here, but there are shades of gray that are out there for sure. But I would encourage you all, if you'd like to learn more about it, please ask. We can get our auditing firm involved if there's deeper questions. But this thing of co-ops getting huge tax breaks, I can tell you, is a little bit of a farce. But you read what you read, and I get that. And I can show you our P&L that's public and show you we pay more than I'd like on taxes. How's that? Good question. Not one I expected, so very well done. I've never had that question, so there you go. Okay.
Do you provide traditional inputs to the farmers, and do you take and or market the crop?
Yeah, I should have put that in there. So Landis at our core, we sell inputs, so crop protection products, we sell feed products for the livestock, and then on the agronomy side, the inputs that raise crops, we would be probably the 15th largest in the United States. On the grain side, we're the 8th or 9th largest in North America in the amount of grain that we take. A lot of our grain actually gets put in rail cars and shipped, particularly down south, because the railroads here run more north and south. Yes, we have some that run east and west, but you'll see most of those are short lines that are owned by smaller railroad companies. The UP and BN mostly run north and south. So our best play for us is to go south and do the livestock market down there. In Texas, we also do a lot in Arizona with the dairy industry. And then we actually have an office in Guadalajara where we sell a lot of our grain and then sell our soybean meal. Mary used to run that business into the dairies down in Mexico there. We at times do also ship east to west. So when the crop is lighter in Illinois or Indiana, then we can rail over those states and hit the East Coast market. When Nebraska struggled, we can rail to the west. We can even rail up to Canada. When their canola crop struggles, we'll send soybeans up there to fill that oil market that's up there. So our core business is grain and agronomy, and then soy processing, which and we're a part of Becky, that we have in Ralston, Iowa. We squeeze soybeans, make soybean meal out of it, and then also provide oil to the renewable diesel markets that are out there. Is that good enough?
That's great.
Thank you.
So you all are going to think I'm a real gadabout, because not only did I work for a while at West Central Co-op, which is now part of Landis, but I was at quite some time at Pioneer, DuPont Pioneer, so this is like old home week for me. Okay, I didn't ask you about Chinese land ownership and how that's going to shake up the
You notice I skipped that part.
Yeah, I really am curious about that. Now he's leaving.
They say, no, you're on it.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. Okay, we really appreciate all the information Matt shared. As you know, BAG is a big deal. It's a big business. It's complicated, it's science, it's cutting edge, and it's nice. We've got some folks in here that's actually leading some of that cutting edge, so fantastic. Am I doing stuff?
I think you got me pushing the remote.
So cutting edge has got the, there we go. Is that better? Where do you want it to be?
I'll get it, just don't touch it.
It's cutting edge, it's just your president is not techy. Okay. Anyway, we would let Matt know that we're donating a book to the library in his behalf, but since he's gone, we'll tell him later. I just want to let you all know we've got some great upcoming speakers. Now what?
That's me, it's
Oh,
not
okay.
you, just keep
Hands
talking.
off.
We got
Okay,
it.
we've got some great upcoming speakers, and remember, when you want to bring your guests, please contact Kitty and RSVP by 9 a.m. Wednesday before the meeting. You cannot register your own guests, but need to do so by calling or emailing Kitty, so we're all prepared and have the name tags and everything. Think about bringing someone that you can bring to Rotary who would be interested in one of our keynote speakers, and they may make a great addition to our club as well. So next week, we've got Jennifer Catherine King with Invictus Media. April 18th, Local Scholarship and Awards. 6 Des Moines Public School seniors will be honored. Always an exciting event. And April 25th, our Educator of the Year Award, where we'll be honoring 5 educators in Des Moines Public Schools. So it's a great week, great month of Rotary, showing us what we're doing as a club and how we put our money to good work in our community. So we've got some fun activities also scheduled. Hey, don't forget our Second Chance Tuesdays every single month. Next Tuesday, we'll be there at Big Grove from 5 until 7 for fun and fellowship. The fellowship is free and the drinks and food are on your own. And I understand I missed last month because I was out of town, but everybody was warm enough they got to sit by the fire pit. So it's a nice place to get together and just meet some of your other Rotarians on a casual basis and get to know people a little bit better. Also, we heard Rich talking about Earth Day, the Trash Bash at Strasser Woods, Friday, April 25th. It's going to be a great opportunity for us to grow green for the future generations. And then also, on Saturday the 27th, we've got another opportunity at Des Moines Public Library's Dia del Niño celebration at Union Park. People can sign up for that. I'll buy the name badges. And I'm going to be there for both of them. So it's, I always get to know people better when we go do those opportunities, and it's fun. And it's go, oh my gosh, we need to do more of this. So I encourage you to think about it and showing up and helping support our community and our club. Okay, I want to thank you, as always, for being with us and for being part of the Rotary Club in Des Moines. We know you choose to be part of our club, and you are what makes us the vital organization that we are. So until we meet again, let's get out there and have some fun and do good in the name of Rotary. We are excused. Adjourned. Class is over.